So now we've looked at what our transaction time is, and we've looked at how do we move parts through our parts department faster. So today, on day 4, we're going to be focusing on parts margins because it's all about profitability. Now, as we discussed in the very first week, it's not what you sell, but what you keep that pays the bill. So I don't care if you sell $500,000 worth of parts. What I really want to know is, what did you make on those? How much of that $500,000 did you keep? It's the gross profit, not the gross sales that we're looking at. And what we want to look at is saying, how do we improve our gross profit? And you improve your gross profit by improving and increasing your gross profit margin, that percentage of what we're making. So that's what we're going to be doing. And so today we're going to go back to your income statement or your profit and loss statement. And in the toolbox, you're going to find an average parts calculation margin calculator. So an average parts margin calculator worksheet. So you're going to need that. And what I'd like for you to do today is I want you to put your total parts sales in and your cost of goods sold. What did they cost you for the last 12 months? Put it in that average parts margin calculator worksheet. Now, if you've been in business for less than a year, right, or less than 12 months, I want you to take whatever you're at now, so how many dollars you've done and what's your cost of goods sold, and put it in that sheet. And that's going to calculate our gross profit and our gross profit margin. So then on that worksheet, you're going to find multiple tabs that represent the various industries that we work with, and you're going to find the average industry gross profit margin that you should be at. And then I want you to take and look at that gross profit margin average where you should be at based upon what you sell, and see if your gross profit margin is somewhere close to what we're encouraging you or recommending for your industry average. So again, you're going to take your numbers from your income statement, your profit and loss. You're going to put in your part sales, your cost of goods sold. That sheet will give you a gross profit margin calculator. On that sheet, you're going to see tabs, and those tabs represent the various industries that we work with, and each industry's got a different gross profit margin that you're striving to get. So click on the tab that most closely aligns with your industry. It will have carried your gross profit margin over, and you could quickly see, where am I at relative to what Bob recommends for the industry. And from that standpoint, then you'll know where you're at. Now, if it matches or you're above, awesome, good for you. You are making and having a good, strong, profitable parts department. If it's not, then we have to start making some adjustments to our parts margins to improve them so that we can get up to or above what our recommendations are. Now, you do that in your software using a parts matrix. So again, in the toolbox, you're going to find a parts matrix, and you're going to find a basket of goods worksheet. Now, the basket of goods worksheet is a sheet that you're going to use, and I want you to do this first before you mess with your margins at all. I want you to go through and fill it out, and you're going to be looking for parts that you sell that are between a penny and $1, $1 and $2.50, $2.51 to $5, and so on. And you'll see when you get into your basket of good worksheet what I'm talking about there. You're going to put in what you are now in terms of selling it for and what you're buying it for. So you're going to put that information in. That's a worksheet that we're going to need, and we're going to save that worksheet because anytime we make any adjustments in our gross profit margin on our parts using a matrix, we're always going to run those same parts and see what kind of impact our matrix is having on that. Now, the matrix is going to be, you're going to find that there's 3 in there. And I would encourage you again to kind of take a look at where you're at. And the first matrix is probably going to add an extra 5% gross profit margin to where you're at today. The second one's probably going to add 8 to 10% to it. And the third one's going to probably add anywhere between 11 and 15%. So don't go crazy in the beginning. Let's start with matrix 1, right? So if you're 5 to 7% below what we're recommending, matrix 1 is going to get you to where you need to be. If you're 10% below with where we recommend, then I'm going to encourage you to go to matrix 2. And if you're 10 to 15% below where we recommend, then I'm going to encourage you to go to matrix 3. Now, matrixing is a simple process, and it's based upon retail price, MSRP. That's how I'd encourage you to do it. Now, your software may only allow you to do matrixing off of cost. You'll see in our parts matrix, we've got it set up so you can do either way. So depending upon what your software allows you to do, you'll be able to see the numbers and plug them in there. So at that point, then you're going to plug in the matrix. So you're going to have a matrix increase over MSRP, let's say from a penny to $1. Then you're going to see another matrix increase from $1.01 to $2.50. And so on. Now, I have some dealers say, why don't we just go from like a penny to $10 and then $11 to $25? Because you're losing key margins. what we want to try to do in matrixing is we want to be very aggressive in our margin markup at a very low end, and as we get to a higher end, we want to get closer and closer back to MSRP. That's really what your goal is. And so again, my goal for most of the industries is when we hit $100 on MSRP, I really want to be back right to MSRP. I have some dealers that use a negative matrix once they cross over a certain number. Some dealers, when it reaches, say, $300 MSRP, they will actually be 2% less than MSRP. So you can do some negative matrixing also. But for right now, we're going to just focus on making sure that our margins are moved up to where they need to be. So that's your assignment. We're going to go out, we're going to fill out the average gross profit margin calculator worksheet. You're going to get that information from your income statement or profit and loss. Again, if you've been in business less than 12 months, plug the numbers in for where you're at. And then from there, we're going to look at where we're at relative to our industry, and that's going to tell me what matrix then I need to put in place to move it up to what we recommend at least as a good average for the industry. Before you put that matrix in place, I want you to take that basket of goods worksheet, pick out parts that are between the ranges we talked about, plug them into where you're at now, and then put your matrix in, then go back and run those parts again, right? Like on an invoice where you're going to ultimately cancel it out, and see what kind of impact that had on your margins. That's going to get you to where you need to be, and that's going to lead you to the profitability I need you to be striving for. We'll see you tomorrow.